Assembled multitude, I'd like to present Melissa Shook, Paul Kafka-Gibbons, and the optimistically entitled Number One.
That's my question. Actually, it started because of Mitch. He was doing this really kind of wacky performance piece based on Dahlgren, Sunrise, and somehow I got asked to photograph. So I was this old woman wandering around this huge space, and nobody noticed me. It was perfect because I really like being invisible. It's my goal to be invisible, so it was a great circumstance. The only person who noticed me was Paul. Otherwise, I was totally invisible. And Paul asked what I did, and I said, you know, I'm a photographer. And I fobbed him off with, I have a website. That gets rid of people because they absolutely never look at your website once you say that. They're not interested. Paul actually looked at it, and he decided from some of the self-portraits I'd done that I'd had dancing lessons. And I did. When I was a child, I went to interpretive dancing with Miss Ingle. And we ran, played, you know, we pretended we were frogs and bears, and we did things like that. And,
oxygen pressure.
pardon me? And Paul and I got to know each other. Well, really, we didn't get to know each other. He got to know me through looking at the website, and he's very insistent. He put out adoption papers for me. And then I came to Thang last year, Thanksgiving, and I saw Emile dancing. And when I saw Emile dancing, I thought, oh my God, I could dance. I haven't danced in years, and I'm 150 now, but I could dance. So
Positive aesthetic prognoses.
So we've been rehearsing for a couple months, and Thursday mornings, it's really been fun. But I must say, coming here was a little bit like going to get root canal. I thought, Jesus, I cannot do this.
Self-realization hurts.
It does. It was just too terrible. I thought, God, what am I doing? And of course, I got lost. I had to ask a guy in the mail truck how to get here, and then another person in the
All
gas
trucks are
station.
mail.
I could get lost on the head of the pin, but I'm actually here, and we're doing
Why
this.
is today
Of course, I
different?
hurt my knee on Tuesday. I'm not sure if I can really move, but these things happen, right? Paul comforted me that Ian's back hurts, and that once he couldn't dance for 6 months because of his foot. So, you know,
Part of the game, I said.
we're gonna go on with this, and this is what we're gonna do. Yeah, right? Is this it
It's
now?
happening.
Have
We're
we
in
done?
it.
Yeah, is this it? Okay.
It has begun.
All right. Now we have to find the diagonal, and he's going to have a big fuss if we don't find the diagonal correctly. He explained to me that the diagonal goes that way. So I'm going to find my part of the diagonal.
Let's do something different. Let's talk more on a different topic. You just start over like you were starting for the first time, but say something completely different than what you were talking about a minute ago.
Am I in the diagonal?
No, we're not doing that yet.
We're not in the diagonal?
Not yet.
Oh,
Are you super ready for the diagonal?
I'm ready for the diagonal.
All right, we'll do
See,
the
the
diagonal.
diagonal is...
I'll tell you what, we'll put the thing I was just saying between the two sections of the diagonal.
Okay.
All right.
All right. See, the diagonal is music, and I respond to music. See?
Wherever you were,
Oh,
when I needed a friend. Wherever you were, when it looked like the end, but it can't go there now. It can't go there now, because I don't need you no more. Wherever you were, when the tears wouldn't dry. Wherever you were, when my friends stopped coming by. Where you can go there now. Yeah, you can go there now, because I don't need you no more. Wherever you were, when I needed a friend. Wherever you were, when it looked like the end. Where we can go there now. Yeah, you can go there now, because I don't need you no more.
Okay, do it now.
what are we doing?
The thing that you started with. Always.
You talking?
No, that's what comes afterwards.
My talk?
Yeah.
I already talked.
That's the point.
I don't want to talk again.
Are you serious?
I have a limited number of
Should I
words.
talk at you?
Yeah, talk as me. And I'll correct you.
I only talk about things that have actually happened. So,
That's because I'm a documentary photographer.
that's how I define myself. James Joyce said, something about imagination being, I'm a writer because I don't have any imagination. I write fiction because I don't have any imagination. Something along those lines. So, Melissa is extremely comfortable in the factual, the autobiographical, and
And the
and the
documentary.
deeply personal.
Exactly.
Not so much moi. But now I'm speaking as Melissa, so does that mean I talk about my own personal life?
Yes.
Or do I speak about Melissa's personal life? She says she's going to correct me. How is she going to correct me if she doesn't know the facts of my life? Let's start with something simple. I like, for some reason, to talk about spin the bottle and post office. So let's start there. I discovered at the YMCA, speaking to the incredibly conservative men, that post office and spin the bottle are universal practices in America. Which, in a way, isn't surprising, but then did you know that in Minneapolis, they say duck, duck, gray duck instead of duck, duck, goose. So my point is, it's not to be taken for granted that two 12-year-olds going into a closet for a strictly defined piece of time would be called the same thing in Maine as it is in Maryland or in Massachusetts. Spin the bottle. We spin the bottle. Of course, we liberally interpret where it's pointing. As I recall, in my 6th grade group, if the bottle pointed to two girls,
We
they
don't know
would
if
in
he's
fact
they or him.
kiss. But
I think he's him.
if it pointed to a boy and a girl, they would kiss. But guess what? If it pointed to two boys, no, we would spin again. So that's one thing I remember. Then I could talk about the parking building.
You could. Not very interesting.
All right, fuck that.
Fuck that.
Let's see.
Definitely fuck
But
that.
I'm going as Melissa. Let's see. The words of the Kerouac piece resonated with me very much. I really felt I was beginning to wonder about the meaning of art.
They
And-
resonated because I also saw Ferlinghetti
then-
naked at a party. He just threw off his clothes.
Maybe the
He
man was
on
never
Fifth
dressed.
Street. Maybe.
Did anyone ever see Ferlinghetti dressed in this room? Okay, so based on the evidence before us, the man was never dressed.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Well, I saw him
But
undressed.
something about the idea that there's, you know, the story of the American musical is large number of people audition. One of them is gifted, and magically they're the one that's discovered. But I was thinking about that this morning and thinking about everyone auditions, everyone is gifted. So whoever they pick, and then you explore the talents of that person, they go on to have great artistic depths. So what we need to do is like take the whole soccer team, everybody gets a trophy thing, and extend it to the performing arts. And the question isn't who's the most talented, but what is the talent of each person.
Directly from my heart to you. Directly from my heart to you. Well, you know that I love you. You know that I am so true. And I pray our love will last always. I pray our love will last always. We'll be so happy together, darling. I'll love you for the rest of my days. And I pray our love will last always. I pray our love will last always. We'll be so happy together, darling. I love you for the rest of my days.
Okay. Feathers. ornamental of the hat, sexual display,
This is his story.
health. The sunlight visible through our sense organs in that spectrum, completely food for the green stuff in their spectrum. A kind of a soylent green floating from the sun. And all the rest of it we can't even detect except by measuring how hard it makes us fall. I feel like going to those people and saying, what are the 5 big answers? And if you based your religion, you reverse engineered your religion based on the big 5 answers, who would you pray to? I'm going to make matzo balls, and I'm not going to use leavening, but I am going to serve rice and beans. The
There
rabbis
are small
are...
questions too, really small questions.
How small?
Really small questions.
You know, when I think of small, I think of the things, the narcissism of small differences. I don't think of subatomic particles. I think
You
of
could though.
like
That would
tight
be very
versus loose.
valid.
Or
Subatomic
like
particles.
renovate the bathroom now or renovate it in 5 years. That's small.
Depends on the circumstances. Might be big.
Working backwards from a culture in which everyone is armed and everyone is scared, we find ourselves with an ideal culture. It becomes clearer and clearer. It's no longer some kind of a myth. It's not underwater. It's just across the border to the north. So
It's Canada.
that's the useful
Really,
part.
literally.
And the people,
It's Canada.
the people around us who don't see that have become people to be compassionate towards, and I mean that in the most hateful sense. I mean that as a willingness to dismiss. Closer dialogue, okay, but at the same time, turn and run. So, but, you know, it's Easter, fertility, bunnies, eggs,
Candy, chocolate.
nails through human bodies, okay. But my point is forgiveness. My point is starting over again.
Oh.
My point is get a fast car and drive somewhere.
That's good.
Away from
Into the sunset.
the heavy lead.
Sunset.
Yeah.
Canada.
Canada's looking pretty good.
Yeah, looking good.
Does anyone know the anthem? Me either. All right. So that's that.
Guess
But
we can't do that one.
I like a penny nail, and I like them rusted. I like them bent. I also like
Is
them
that
real
this
shiny.
reference, this nail reference?
Not at all. But I
Okay.
did. Yes. Now that you
I mean, it
mention
was close.
Okay.
Kind of inspired
You could magnetize them. You could lay them in a little circle. You could arrange them all pointing out or heads out.
You could.
Water simmering in a saucepan coming from the kitchen. It's so agreeable. This fine weather, these flowers, this charming little house. And I feel quite so. Yes. And you should be here too, Paula. In the next room with your pride. And every now and then, you smile to me through the window.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the new Freestyle Libre.
There is only one pusher in Mexico City, and that is Lupita. She has been in the business 20 years. Lupita got her start with 1 gram of junk. and built up from there to a monopoly of the junk business in Mexico City. She weighed 300 pounds, so she started using junk to reduce. But only her face got thin, and the result is no improvement. Every month or so, she hires a new lover, gives him shirts and suits and wristwatches, and then packs him in when she has enough. Lupita pays off to operate wide open as if she were running a grocery store. She doesn't have to worry about stool pigeons because every law in the federal district knows that Lupita sells junk. She keeps outfits and glasses of alcohol so the junkies can fix in the china and walk out clean. Lupita sells her stuff in papers. It is supposed to be heroin. Actually, it is pent-upon cut with milk sugar and some other crap that looks like sand and remains undissolved in the spoon after you cook up. I started scoring for Lupita's papers through Ike, the old-time junkie I met in the lawyer's office. I'd been off junk 3 months at this time. It took me just 3 days to get back on. When my wife saw I was getting the habit again, she did something she had never done before. I was cooking up a shot 2 days after I connected with old Ike. My wife grabbed a spoon and threw the junk on the floor. I slapped her twice across the face, and she threw herself on the bed sobbing, then turned.
Of course, very much in this enormous literature which he produced. The death penalty, the guillotine, was real and final, and there wasn't anything after that. But the kind of things that people do to each other in the novels of de Sade have no finality whatsoever. And even when people are literally ripped to shreds by various orgiastic acts, just as in Candide, when Candide is flogged by the 10,000 Bulgarians, so in de Sade, there's always somebody who comes along with a magic ointment or puts the person to bed, and the next day or the next week, at any rate, the next paragraph, the victim who has been near death is completely healed and sewn up and ready for new outrages. This notion of perpetual motion is exactly the conception of the orgy in pornographic literature. And of course, all pornographic literature tends toward the orgy, it tends toward this indiscriminate and continuous group sexual venture. One of the characters in Juliet says, describing a particular scene, in the midst of describing it, and saying that at this moment he's having 15 or 20 orgasms in a row, and he says, and it's so absolutely typical, "Never did the multiplicity of my pleasures exhaust me. My ejaculations were as tumultuous and abandoned the 10th time as the first." That's not to be understood as bragging, well, obviously, a certain point of view it is, but the way I'm proposing that we understand it in this context is as a very necessary part of the form of pornographic consciousness, the form of fantasy that goes into pornography. There cannot be any exhaustion. There cannot be any change. Each experience, by definition, must be the same as any other. It's not that he wants to boast, or the characters want to boast of their prowess. It's simply that the experience must always have the same character, and it must be indefinitely repeatable. Now, obviously, then, pornography
been in the storm so long. You know that I've been in the storm so long. Sailor,
which is kind of tedious. But the music is nice. Get off! It's enough! I don't like this part, really, but he likes it. Because for some reason, I don't understand, he won't give up. Oh, come on! Something to get him off. Come on. It's time. It's time. Time. This is the part we practiced.